Big Ben said yesterday, this could be my last playoff game, and I started saying, I said, where you land matters. He's never been an MVP. He's never been a first or second team Pro Bowler. In fact, Phillip Rivers been a Pro Bowler. He didn't have the owner. He didn't have the GM. He didn't have the coach. He didn't have the offensive line. I'd argue he didn't have the weapons. And I just said, Phillip Rivers is going to get Hall of Fame votes. Ben's going to get in. And I think if they'd have traded places, the careers could look different. I mean, how do you look at Big Ben?
Well, one, I mean, the whole, I'm like, this may be my last playoff game. There is a certain amount of drama that comes with Big Ben, like ever watch him, like he can twist his ankle and the next week he comes out and he's got like a size 22 clown shoe on, right? Like, look how bad my ankle is. Oh, it's terrible. And he's going to go out there and play because that's just how Ben operates. But I will say this about Big Ben. I think early in his career, Colin, he was groomed, if you will. They had a great running game, and it was the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they had a great defense and all those different things. I think here in the last 8-10 years, offensively, they have just put it on his shoulders to say, go out and win games for us. And he's been able to do that, albeit in a bad division that had Cleveland and Cincinnati that weren't competitive during those times. But he is asked to do a ton. And when you watch them on film, they are so far removed from the way you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think of the Pittsburgh Steelers back in, the Franco Harris, Terry Bradshaw days, and even early days in Ben Roethlisberger's career with Jerome Bettis, and they're going to run the ball. They're going to control the line of scrimmage. This is a 4 wides, 5 wides, spread offensive football team. Throw it underneath, let your quarterback do all the work. I just think they're a little bit different. I think he's been asked to do those things, and I think he's been exceptional in doing those things, even without an all-pro. I mean, the problem is, you're comparing Ben Roethlisberger and say, hey, he's never been all-pro. Well, during that time, Peyton Manning was in the AFC. Tom Brady was in the AFC. It's hard to get all-pro when you've got 2 GOATs in the same division as you.
I said to start my show today there is a narrative about Lamar, and I do think if he wins just a playoff game, it'll subside. I think there's bigger pressure on Aaron, Bruce Arians, Big Ben. Now that Cleveland's facing some COVID issues. I think sometimes it happens, Mark, that you become a victim of yourself. Of the 12 quarterbacks last 3 years that have been drafted in the first round, none have won a playoff game, but it feels like it's all on Lamar to win a playoff game. And I think some of that is he's just so dynamic that we're like, oh, my God, you got to win playoff games. Like, I don't think if he loses a playoff game, I mean, if it's 31-30 and Tannehill throws a bomb to end it, I don't think less of Lamar Jackson. Your thoughts on him going into the weekend?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things to go, and I agree with you on that. He's a kind of a victim of his own greatness. And part of the issue, Colin, is that John Harbaugh made a decision when they decided to go full time with Lamar Jackson, and that decision was we're going to completely scrap pile anything traditional about what our offense is, and we're going to put it all on Lamar Jackson's shoulders. He is going to run the ball. I mean, think about this. He's a top 5 running back in the league right now and a top 5 quarterback, like statistically, and both. That's what he is. And so they have put it all on him, and they built a system around him. So they got together as a coaching staff with Greg Roman as the offense coordinator, Wink Martindale as the defense coordinator, and they built a team that's complementary based upon what they want to do as an offense. And they completely turned the league on its head because nobody knows how to defend this kind of offense. But it all is predicated on, hey, Lamar, we're going to run the ball. We're going to get 11-on-11 football, true football, with you being a ball carrier. We've got all kinds of different offense that we're going to do. We're still creating plays that defenses have never seen, that they don't know how to defend. And, oh, by the way, defensively, what we're going to do is we're going to be a high-pressure, high-blitz football team because we know ultimately when you play us as an offense and we run the ball, we're eliminating the other offense's possessions down to about 8 or 9. So we get up by 7. It feels like we're up by 21.
Yeah.
And so now we can be aggressive. Now we make you one-dimensional. So I think one of the reasons that there is so much pressure and so much just on Lamar Jackson's shoulders is because that's how they built this football team. So that's how we look at it. Hey, if Lamar doesn't play well, they don't win.
Yeah.
That you can overcome inconsistencies from your quarterback position on other teams occasionally because, hey, we've got a great defense and we've got a great running game and we've got a receiver that's big time and stuff. Here it's Lamar. you're going to lead us wherever we go. And if you don't play well, or the defense, that you're playing puts a couple turnovers together, then you're going to get the lion's share of the blame. And that's just the way this team has been built.
Do you trust? I don't. I don't think Kansas City's offense played particularly well in December. I don't know if I trust them right now this morning. Do you?
I trust them simply because of their quarterback. I'm with you on a lack of trust, like the difference between rest and rust. And you took off a lot in December that you didn't play exceptionally well, and then you took week 17 off as an offense, and then you get the bye week. Like, that is a recipe for disaster. How long and how many more games can Patrick Mahomes come down to the end and say, let me hoist this the rest of this offense on my shoulders. Let me hoist this football team on my shoulders. Let's drive down here and win a football game. Like, eventually you've got to think the law of averages. That's not going to work at some point. But he is exceptional. They are an exceptionally talented football team. There's no question. Part of the whole thing in December, Colin, is I think one of the big issues, and I've been on really good teams. I've been on an 11-0 team to start the season. I've been on a 13-0 team to start the season. One of the biggest things you have to guard against is boredom. And I think one of the things that Andy Reid has done an exceptional job of, you see all these trick formations and these trick plays, and it's to keep guys engaged, because they know, they're like global, Jim. We're better than you, and we know it. They walk into a game just knowing they're better. They're more talented. And so keeping guys engaged over the course of a season in which you're better than everybody else is a tough task. So we'll see exactly how they operate coming down the stretch. And if they can get into this, when they get into this playoff as the number one seed, if they can be on all cylinders, or if that takes some time. Because if it takes some time, ultimately you play a team like Buffalo. If you get to that point, Buffalo is a damn good football team, and they've got a chance to beat you. There's no question in my mind.
A 7-point spread or more in the NFL, you're a big favorite. Saints are a big favorite. Tampa Bay's a big favorite. Buffalo's a big favorite. If I said to you, there's going to be an upset this weekend, which there almost always is, where's it going to come from?
Well, I think Pittsburgh right now is a 6-point favorite, and I know you don't have your head coach calling plays, and that's, that could be a disaster. But when you can run the ball and you can control the clock, and all of a sudden you put your opponent in a position where you're eliminating possessions, that's a scary thing, right? And so that's a team that scares me a little bit. I think Cleveland is built in a way where they can compete with anybody. It scares me that they don't have their main play caller. I think that's a real issue, Kevin Stefanski being out. But that would be the one to me that would be the biggest upset, because they just haven't. Pittsburgh has played poorly down the stretch. They've actually, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, they've had one half of football where they've actually played well.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. That second half, they got some
in Indianapolis,
and they got some pass interference breaks. They got 3 calls, 2 were shaky. So even then, a little bit of a break. Mark Schlereth, 3 rings from Super Bowls, multiple-time Pro Bowler. Good seeing you, Mark.
Likewise, Colin. Take care, buddy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.